Borno State, northeast Nigeria has been the epicenter of Boko Haram terror for over 10 years. This is one of the theatre of combat operations coordinated by the Commander Operation Hadinkai. It is a highly fortified zone.
Of the theatre commander?
Army Public Relations Chief Brigadier General Nyema Nwachukwu is on ground.
Over time, we have had a lot of trending narratives concerning the operations in this theatre of operation, talking about Operation Hadinkai. And some of those narratives border around the recent surrendering of Boko Haram insurgents for Nigerians to actually appreciate the effort that our troops are making, particularly in the fight against insurgency and terrorism in the Northeast. This fundamentally informed this media tour for us to be able to address these issues, bring them to public domain.
From the theatre command in Maiduguri, we departed to Bama, a town that has been repeatedly battered by the terrorists over the years in a convoy of well-armed soldiers. Bama is also where the military facility receiving and profiling surrendering terrorists is. It is a close proximity to the Sambisa forest, which for years had been a playground for the terrorists. Brigadier General Diwali Adekeye is in charge here.
This Boko Haram repentant militant surrender, wherever they surrender, either at Banki, along the road to Banki Junction, or here in Bama, or even we have had cases from Konduga. That is the first major town you met on your way. They evacuated to the brigade headquarters and handed over to my military intelligence regiment, who profiles them and does all other necessary things, takes all the necessary measures, then they are moved to Maiduguri. We don't mix them with the IDPs. Of course, you all know that the IDP camp in Bama is one of the oldest camps we have in Borno State, and though the population has reduced due to the resettlement of people back to their ancestral homes, but the IDP camp is a separate thing, and it's not under my command. It's under the state SEMA. Of course, the NGOs are there working with them, but the surrendered Boko Haram fighters are right under me. Because when the capacity of the holding cell is reached, then we move them to Maiduguri.
This holding cell is the first facility where the repentant terrorists are screened before they are transferred to another facility in Maiduguri, which is said to be managed by the Borno State government. We met a number of the repentant terrorists said to have recently dropped their arms and surrendered to troops of the Nigerian army. One of them tells us why he stopped fighting for Boko Haram after 6 years.
To naga abun dama manyan mu ne suka nuna mana kamar hanyar gaskiya ne, daga baya muka duba abun da ba shi bane. Kawai da na duba haka nace kai wannan abun na zauna cikin na gama rayuwa na ba daidai bane nace tunda gwamnati ya kira mu da yake mun zama jami'an tsaro ba abun da zai mana, bari mu je mu zauna da ƴan uwan mu sai mu zauna mu samu zaman lafiya, muka ce shi yasa na zo da shi. Surun kamin da zan ga musu da kawai shi dai abun da ya hana su kamar za yi wani abu ne. Ni dai abun da zan ga musu in suna so da dadin rayuwarsu kam su koma su zo nan da ba wani abun da zai same su. In Allah ya yarda kuma wayanda ba su fahimta ba kuma mai wa wanda muna da nan mashi za mu fahimtar da su za su zo. In ba haka ba kam zuwa kam za su zo tukuna kamar za yi musu wani abu ne. Ni kuma tunda na zo ban ga abun da aka yi mana ba. Na zo na sauka maraba ba wanda ya mani magana da civilian detail na da sojojin gaba ki daya. Yanda suka kula da mu fa gaskiya har a can mu ba kula da mu ba, ni kan ban gani ba. Ni tun na zo nan ba wanda ya mani wani abu. In Allah ya yarda kam sojojin nan ga yanda suka kula da ni. Abincin da na zo na ci nan ma ba wanda ya bani tun daga can da na ci. Tun na zo ba wanda ya nuna ni da ya samu gaba daya, daga civilian detail har sojoji ba wanda ya zage ni ba. Akwai wanda mutum da ya zare mini ido ma har an yi mishi magana.
Kana da mata?
Ina da mata.
Na take?
tana camp. Fitowa na da bindiga na zo da shi don neman zaman lafiya ne. Shi yasa dalilin da na zo da shi.
Should this man be trusted? Well, he insists his surrender is genuine.
Kuma ba wani yaudara na kawo ba, tsakani da Allah tuba ne na zo da shi, ba wani yaudara da na zo da shi. Ko in yaudara ne niya na kam Allah yana duba ni. In yaudara za ka yi kuma Allah zai fallasa kai, ba wani gaban da za ka yi, ba wani nisan da za ka yi, Allah zai fallasa kai da kusa-kusan nan ma. Wallahi Allah ya sani kuma.
Kun fito yaushe ne?
Ranar Alhamis na fito.
Kun fito ranar Alhamis. Kun zo da bindigogi?
Na zo da bindigogi na.
Guda nawa?
Ni nawa ni kare na zo da shi da magazin nawa guda 3. Wallahi in badin haka ba kam ni kam abin da zan gaya musu ba abin da ya zo da mu, ba wani yaudaran da muka kawo. Tsakani da Allah mu kam muka dawo.
Processing these so-called repentant terrorists is quite complex, posing real social integration challenges. Questions have also been asked about the fighting weapons of the surrendering terrorists.
Insurgents.
The theatre commander and general officer commanding 7th Division of the Nigerian Army explains.
There are some sizable weapons that have been surrendered. It's not as if everybody that came out with weapon. Recall that there are squabbles between ISWAP and some of these Boko Haram. Initially, they tried to be part of them. When they bounce back, that ISWAP, they give them that kind assurance that they are coming back as one family. So Boko Haram went to them and they established a common arms store. As soon as they handed in their weapon, those people now intensified the fighting that made it very difficult for them to go and retrieve some of their weapons. Except few people who have not pledged their allegiance. Those are the ones that came out with their weapons. Do you understand? So many of them do come out, while most of them did not come out with their weapons, but their weapon is their family.
And somebody surrenders, by law, we are not allowed to shoot that individual. We are supposed to hold him, arrest him, and treat him humanely. Now, I don't know if people misconcept humane treatment as being pampering. If he's sick, we're supposed to treat him. If he's hungry, we're supposed to give him food. We're supposed to provide shelter just like any other person. And that is exactly what we're doing. So there is no aspect of pampering. We're just keeping them as humans to ensure that they are fit enough to go through the proper procedure. And they will definitely go through this procedure. So again, let me assure the public that there is no any aspect of pampering. We're sorting them out so that those ones don't have any part, that they didn't play any part, will be handled separately, while those ones that took part actively, the combatants, will be treated separately.
Just like all this, after profiling, the Boko Haram defectors are made to undergo other processes.
Have the opportunity of repenting and coming in, and when you come out, the laws will take its part by treating you and knowing exactly what it is you've done. We have advised the government that even when you do that, after that, we need to get the victims across, so that we have seen models that have been used in other countries, South Africa, Rwanda, model, because no matter what you do, the kinetic aspect will never be the last, the final solution. They must come and there must be dialogue. It is this aspect of dialogue that brings this aspect that we'll sit down with them. They will sit down with the victims, and there will be a truth and reconciliation committee that both will look at themselves face to face and say, to the extent this was what was done, what next? The victims will listen and agree on this, whatever it is. So whatever process has been done, the victims are carried along. We want to ensure that the victims don't lose out at whatever aspect. So people should be assured that the proper process is going to take place. Nobody, there won't be any compromise. Some of the victims are military men. I can tell you I've lost wonderful officers and soldiers. So for us to even accept them has been very difficult, but professionally, we are meant to do that. Once we have those windows and they're working, we are meant to ensure that we arrest them, bring them in, and then the nation will take its proper course through the Constitution. And that's what's going on. So we want them to agree, to understand that fully, that Operation Hardinkai is just doing its own bit. And the military operation is just one line of operation, which is just about 20%. The remaining 80% has to do with the diplomacy, with humanitarian, with justice, rule of law, and all this. So those are ones we take on. So that's the stage we're in now. They are being secured separately. They are not going to be released just like that. They will be processed. And some of the procedures we have done is, apart from the profiling is being done by our own intelligence agency, by the DIA, by the DSS, and all other security agencies. So we have the immigration, the customs, and that's what makes it Operation Joint Task Force operation. So everybody that has anything to do is also checking. We have also invited the what they call an MC, who is coming to they are taking the profiles of everybody. They thumbprint them, they take their pictures. So even after this, we know what they are doing, we know where they are, and we know what it goes through. So we can assure you that the right process is taking place.
The Borno State government is developing a model for demobilization, de-radicalization and reintegration. It is yet to be publicized.
What we call it is the Borno model. The fact is that it is a bit away from what you expect in the normal system. It was an agreement between the federal and the state government and the fighters on what will happen to them if they surrender. What we want is peace. And what we are getting now is the peace. Now when they surrender through us, the troops. Some of them that come forward to bring their weapons, we profile them and then hand them over for further management to the Borno State government. On getting to the Borno State government, they look at, it's not all of them that you see that are actually active Boko Haram fighters. There are some who are conscripted. And it is easy to identify them. In fact, the leadership, some of the leaders who have surrendered, come forward to say, this is not one of us, this is. So by separating them, we know those who are farmers. They actually have some people who are farmers for them, who are traders, who trade in animals and other foodstuff for them. They go to market and come back just in their interest. They make money for them, they bring foodstuffs and other things for them. So they separate those ones from the active fighters.
The Nigerian military insists that despite the surrender, it is not letting off its offensive against the enemies of the state.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.